In this series, we're stepping into each room of the blueprint of family violence against men, a model that maps how abuse works towards male victims of family violence. Today, we're entering the master bedroom, the part of the blueprint where abuse becomes psychological. This isn't just about power over your thoughts, it's about rewriting your inner world until you no longer trust your own reality. This video focuses on gaslighting, one of the most insidious and destabilizing tactics in the entire blueprint. It's the first tactic in the master bedroom, and it doesn't just distort the truth, it reshapes who you believe you are. Gaslighting is a psychological manipulation tactic where your version of reality is slowly replaced by theirs. It's not just about lying, it's about making you question your memory, your motives, and your sanity. Gaslighting isn't a single moment, it's a pattern. One denied event, one rewritten motive, one emotional moment twisted against you until you're no longer sure if you remembered it wrong or if you're just going mad. And the more you question yourself, the more dependent you become on their version of events. You stop arguing, you stop raising things, eventually, you stop trusting your own mind. For men who are raised to pride themselves on logic and reliability, this kind of erosion doesn't just create confusion, it creates shame. Because if you can't trust your own thoughts, how can you lead, protect, or decide anything? We are often taught to suppress emotion, endure discomfort, and take responsibility for conflict, even when we didn't cause it. So when gaslighting happens to us, we don't immediately see it as manipulation. We see it as an emotional failure. We think we're being too sensitive, too dramatic, and too hard to love. And that belief that the fault lies with us is exactly what gaslighting needs to thrive. Let's take a step through the various different types of gaslighting. These are the specific ways it shows up in day to day abusive life. Gaslighting type 1 is a denial of events. This is when the abuser flat out denies something that clearly happened, even when you directly experienced it. It's not forgetfulness, it's a calculated strategy to erode your trust in your memory. They say, that never happened, or you're imagining things in a way that makes you question what you know. Over time, your memory, once a source of strength, becomes a source of confusion. You start to believe you're unstable, and eventually you defer to their version of the past. Gaslighting type 2 is reframing of motives. This is when your genuine actions are twisted into something sinister. It's not about what you did, it's about what they say you meant by it. A kind gesture becomes framed as manipulation, a boundary becomes punishment, a calm conversation becomes cruelty. The goal is to make you doubt your own intentions, to feel ashamed of caring, setting boundaries, or expressing need. It teaches you that nothing you do will be received as good, so stop trying. Gaslighting type 3 is minimization of events. Minimization doesn't erase what happened, it downplays it. They don't deny the event, they just tell you it wasn't a big deal. You say you're hurt, and they say it wasn't that bad, or you're overreacting. This tactic reframes your pain as exaggeration so they never have to face it. And eventually you believe it. You stop raising things that matter. You internalize the idea that your hurt doesn't count. Gaslighting type 4 is performance of reasonableness. This is when they stay calm, not to resolve conflict, but to make you look irrational. They use logic as a weapon, detachment as a shield. Let's not get emotional, they say, even when you're speaking from the heart. The more upset you get, the more their composure becomes proof that you're the problem. But it's not real calm, it's theatre. Gaslighting type 5 is false equivalence. False equivalence flips the script. You name mistreatment and they say, well, you're not perfect either. Or you do that too. It doesn't matter if their behavior was cruel and yours was a boundary, everything gets leveled out. It flattens every conversation, it removes accountability, and it leaves you with no moral ground to stand on. Gaslighting type 6 is withholding. They're physically present but emotionally unreachable. Vague answers, blank stares, and silence. You speak from the heart and get nothing in return. No acknowledgement, no empathy, no clarity. It's not space, it's control, a form of emotional starvation that keeps you chasing scraps of connection. Gaslighting type 7 is countering. This is when the abuser ignores your valid concerns and instead counters by attacking how you interpreted events or things that they said. You describe something they said that hurt you, and they respond with, "That's not what I meant by that. Why do you always twist things to make me look bad?" You name a recurring pattern, and they instead accuse you of being cruel by deliberately misrepresenting them. This isn't about clearing up miscommunication or repairing harm. It's about shifting the focus, putting you on the defensive by attacking your perception of what happened until you stop trusting your insights and defer to their version of events. Gaslighting type 8 is fabrication. Fabrication goes a step further. They invent things that never happened and insist that they did. You're told you yelled when you didn't, that you agreed to something you never said, that you hurt them in ways that don't even sound like you. It's not memory loss, it's memory insertion, a rewrite of your reality authored by them. Gaslighting type 9 is a false accusation of gaslighting. This is when they accuse you of gaslighting while doing it themselves. You express concern calmly and they claim you're manipulating them. Now the script is flipped and you're on trial for the very abuse you're enduring. It's one of the most disorientating tactics, especially for men who've done the work to learn emotional language, only to have it turned against them. Gaslighting type 10 is feigned confusion. This is where they pretend not to understand, not because they're confused, but because it gives them power. No matter how clearly you explain, they say, "I don't get it," or "You're not making sense." The more they feign confusion, the more exhausting it becomes, and eventually you stop trying to be heard. Gaslighting type 11 is gaslighting by consensus. Now it's not just them, it's everyone. My friends agree, even my family thinks you're the problem, whether those people were involved or not. Suddenly it's not one person against your truth, it's an invisible crowd. And the more you speak up, the more isolated you feel. Gaslighting by consensus doesn't require evidence, just false volume, and their version becomes louder than yours. For me, it felt like every disagreement became a memory test. I'd bring something up, something that genuinely hurt, and before I even got to the feeling, she would shut me down. "That never happened, you're imagining things." If I quoted her, I was told I was twisting her words. If I stayed calm, I was cold. If I got emotional, I was unstable, the angry man. No matter what I did, the story changed and I was always the villain. She said it with such conviction that I started wondering, maybe I really had yelled. Maybe I did say something cruel. I'd lie awake, replaying those conversations. I even wrote things down, not to prove her wrong, but to convince myself I wasn't going mad. It was like she was narrating a dark, evil version of me, and somehow that version stuck. I didn't just lose confidence, I lost access to my own instinct, my own memories, my own self. And by the time I realized what was happening, I wasn't just doubting her, I was doubting reality itself. Gaslighting is just one of the tactics in the master bedroom, but it's one of the most powerful because it breaks something inside you. You'll find the full list of tactics across all rooms of the blueprint at standagain.com.au, along with tools to help you name what happened and begin healing from it. And no matter how many times you've been knocked down, you can stand again.